The road to an AFL team has taken endless energy and mountains of money. Calls for a homegrown team stretch right back to the early 90s. But despite being a football heartland, Tasmania was always beaten to the punch.
When Tasmania recorded its famous State of Origin win over Victoria in 1990, our AFL ambitions were announced to the world. State coach Robert Shaw was among the first calling for the league to consider a Tasmanian team.
There was method to our madness. We wanted to showcase Tasmania's talent to the mainland in the hope of getting our own game.
Those murmurs grew into a megaphone moment when Tassie decided to go for it in 1996.
I believe sincerely that Ross Oakley will stand before us in the not too distant future, open an envelope and say, "And you are the winner, Tasmania."
This was the state's first formal bid, delivered to AFL headquarters at a time when Victorian clubs were struggling, some saved only by donation drives from selfless supporters. But Go For It followed a familiar script. A brand new stadium was proposed at the Glenorchy Showgrounds, and high-profile media commentators weighed in.
Sheehan wrote, "Tassie should be, in his words, next cab off the rank."
But in an early sign of things to come, the AFL wanted a team somewhere else first.
We've told Tasmania that there's no spot available at this stage.
Instead, Port Adelaide entered the league. With the bid dead in the water, Hawthorn stepped in to play some home games in Launceston from 2001. St Kilda followed suit in 2003, but discussion over a Tasmanian team's merit never faded.
You're getting 18,000 ordinary games in Tasmania. You've got a capacity of 25.
St Kilda should be there because they've got a spiritual link with Tasmania.
Oh, give me a break.
In 2008, then Premier Paul Lennon launched our second major push. It's time.
The 150th year of AFL football, Australian rules football in this country, is an appropriate time for Tasmania to be taken seriously.
Its time was a more complete package, including a major corporate sponsor in Mars and a local backer in My State Financial. The bid boasted bumper stickers and even a website, tassiefootyteam.com.au. Once again, though, the AFL's eyes were elsewhere.
The two markets that we've identified as priorities going forward, it was South East Queensland and Western Sydney.
Tasmanians could only watch as the Gold Coast and Greater Western Sydney burst onto the grand stage with a seemingly blank cheque. But a change in the AFL hierarchy gave the state one last chance to come in from the cold.
I love coming down to Tasmania. I don't know if Tasmanians love me coming here.
History repeated with more task forces, websites and stadium plans. Only this time, deals with the Hawks and Roos were put up as collateral, and Tasmania was doing the tough talking, especially when the pandemic delayed the licence decision.
To be frank, I think it's disrespectful of the AFL in terms of the way that they have managed this.
Now the state has emerged with the unanimous backing of all 18 clubs. The push, considered a now or never, was never going to fail.
Today is the result of nearly 150 years of football passion by Tasmania and their proud and passionate football community.
After every bump and bruise along the way, the siren has finally sounded on a game lasting more than 30 years. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.